Preparing for the regular season and facing a familiar foe. I'm Amie Wells, and this is Titans Today. The Tennessee Titans hit the practice fields at St. Thomas Sports Park to begin their preparations for the third preseason game against the Pittsburgh Steelers. For head coach Mike Vrabel, the challenge is simulating a regular season practice while getting in the same amount of work as in training camp.
Probably half and half. I think you can kind of see that there were some elements of it that probably looked like a normal game week, which we have to improve on. We have to improve it, what we need to show the other side of the ball, and then probably the other half was just what we'd been doing in training camp.
For the players, they don't care what time of year it is. Kevin Byard says that the vets especially are just ready to compete.
I think this is going to be like the final, I would say, dress rehearsal until the season starts. A lot of the vets probably not going to play that fourth preseason game. So, I feel like, but today was one of those days we came out here trying to get better. We're not doing a ton of install and stuff like that for this game, but we are, like you said, it's more like a real game. We're going to play a lot more, so it's exciting, man. But it's another day, another opportunity to come out and compete with my brothers, so it's fun.
While the Titans aren't completely game planning for the Steelers, there is some familiarity between the two teams. The Titans faced the Steelers in the preseason in 2018 and in the regular season in 2017.
They're notorious for being a real good front and very stout. It's a great challenge to have that for this week, and it's really going to help us put us in perspective where we're at and what we got to do to get better. And it's a great challenge. I think we're all really excited to have this opportunity and be able to get out there and see where we're at.
I'm now joined by Titans senior writer Jim Wyatt. Jim, a lot to talk about as the Titans get ready for their third preseason game. And we're seeing a lot of guys return to the active roster, guys like Jonnu Smith and Ryan Succop. How beneficial is it for this team to be able to get some reps with some of those bigger name guys who are returning to the roster?
Well, I think it's huge. We've seen these guys do some more work as training camp is going on a side field, and the fact that they're back in action. I think Jonnu Smith looked really good in his return. Derrick Henry is working his way back into feeling a little bit like himself. Whether these guys play in the preseason or not, that kind of remains to be seen. But I think with a couple of weeks to go before the regular season opener in Cleveland, this is kind of the start of the process to get those guys ready.
What position groups have you seen the biggest improvement out of throughout training camp?
Well, I'm going to go with a position group that's just been steady and it's continued to get better, and that's the cornerback group. We knew going in that this was going to be one of the strengths of this football team, and I think Logan Ryan and Malcolm Butler and Adoree Jackson, all those guys have gotten better, but Ty Smith has been good. I think LaShawn Sims has been really good. Kareem Orr continues to make plays in practices, and then you kind of knew what you had at the safety position as well with Kenny Vaccaro and Kevin Byard, but continue to be impressed with Amani Hooker and the way he has played. So that's a really solid group with a lot of depth, and I think it's probably the strength of the defense right now.
For fans heading out to Nissan Stadium on Sunday night, what can they expect to see out of this third preseason game?
Well, this is usually what they call the dress rehearsal, where you go into halftime and into the third quarter, or you at least maybe play the entire first half. And we've seen different coaching staffs handle it differently. Mike Vrabel usually doesn't give too much information as far as how much these guys are going to play. I think he tells them late in the week, but I think he wants them to work as if they're going to play a significant amount of time. But I think with the way the schedule has set up this preseason, with a Sunday game followed by a Thursday game in Chicago, this is when you get to work, and then we're probably going to see a lot of guys get the night off in Chicago.
Give me one or two guys that you're going to have your eye on against the Steelers.
Well, if Derrick Henry plays, that's number one, because, again, we haven't seen him yet. I think Jonnu Smith falls in that same category. You want to see how those guys do in their first action. Behind Henry, Akeem Hunt, who I think has shown some flash and some speed. Mike Vrabel has some really nice things to say about him today. Jeremy McNichols, who continues to get himself noticed at the running back position as well. Those are a few. Isaiah Mack has continued to make plays on the defensive line. Amani Bledsoe, both those guys are really competing, trying to make this team's 53-man roster. Khalif Raymond, Cody Hollister, a couple of guys fighting to try to get on the 53. This is the time you start to make your final statements.
Jim, always great to hear from you. Guys, for more of Jim Wyatt's insights, head on over to TitansOnline.com. Now the Titans take on the Steelers on Sunday Night Football at Nissan Stadium this Sunday. Kickoff for that game is 7 o'clock Central Time. I'm Amie Wells, and this is Titans Today.